As this year comes to a close, I want to slow things down for a moment, not to summarize, not to rush towards resolutions, but to truly sit with what 2025 has been. Because if there's one thing this year taught us, it's that learning, real learning, doesn't happen in straight lines, tidy charts, or perfectly planned syllabi. It happens in the mess, in the pauses, in the moments when nothing seems to be working, and yet something deep is quietly taking shape. 2025 was not an easy year for education. And I'm not saying that for drama. I'm saying it because pretending otherwise does a disservice to every teacher, every learner, every parent, and every school leader who showed up anyway. This was a year of tension between policy and practice, between innovation and exhaustion, between what research tells us should work and what reality tells us can work on a Tuesday afternoon with 20 students, 2 languages, limited resources, and very human emotions in the room. But here's the truth. I keep coming back to, despite everything, language learning did not stop. It adapted. It resisted. It evolved. And this is how we're going to start this last episode of 2025. I just want to start by saying thank you very much to all the listeners, to all the followers, for supporting this little corner here for teachers and learners. So, all of you, thank you. I'm very grateful for every single like, every single support, word. Thank you. I'm here for all of you as a teacher, as a colleague, as a learner. So let's keep working together. Let's keep listening and let's keep learning. And as I always say, sit down comfortably, get yourself a coffee, and let's get started.
Woo! Let's go!
This year we talk a lot about neuroscience, AI, digital tools, and the future of language education. And yes, those conversations matter. But what stood out most in 2025 was not technology. It was people, teachers, students, all of us. It was the quiet realization that no app, no algorithm, no platform can replace presence. Learners didn't just need better input, they needed safety. Teachers didn't just need new methodologies, they needed permission to slow down, to reflect, to admit uncertainty. One of the biggest lessons 2025 offered us is this: fluency without identity is empty. We saw more learners reaching impressive technical levels, yet feeling disconnected from their own voices. We saw teachers delivering flawless lessons while feeling increasingly invisible. And that forced a reckoning, a necessary one. This was the year many educators finally said out loud what had been whispered for too long. Teaching is emotional labor. Language learning is emotional labor. And ignoring that cost has consequences. Burnout isn't a personal failure. It's a systemic response to unsustainable expectations. 2025 didn't create a problem, but it stripped away the illusions that allow us to ignore it. At the same time, something powerful happened. Teachers began reclaiming agency, not loudly, not dramatically, but deliberately. We saw educators redesigning classrooms to center meaning over performance. We saw a shift from correction to connection, from control to curiosity. We saw more conversations about translanguaging, identity, accent, acceptance, and the right to sound like yourself while being understood. This year reminded us that accuracy is not the enemy of fluency, but fear is. And fear thrives in silence. That's why conversations matter so much in 2025. Real conversations, the uncomfortable ones, the reflective ones, the kind that ask, why do we teach the way we teach? And who benefits from this system and who doesn't? For learners, 2025 was a year of reckoning as well. Many realize that motivation doesn't magically appear. It's built through consistency, relevance, and trust. Language learning stopped being romanticized and started being humanized. Progress was no longer measured only by scores, but by confidence, willingness to speak, and resilience when words failed. And let's talk about failure, because 2025 normalized it in a way previous years didn't. More teachers openly share lessons that flopped. More learners admitted frustration without shame. And in that honesty, growth accelerated. Failure stopped being a dead end and became feedback. One of the most important realizations this year was that learning doesn't speed up when you pressure it. It deepens when you respect it. Silent periods were honored. Plateaus were understood. Slow progress stopped being labeled as weakness and started being recognized as consolidation. 2025 also forced us to redefine professionalism, not as perfection, but as reflection. Not as having all the answers, but as asking better questions. The strongest educators this year were not the loudest voices online, but the most thoughtful ones. Those willing to revise beliefs, update practices, and listen to their students with humility. And personally, this year reinforced something I've believed for a long time. Teaching languages is not about producing speakers. It's about shaping people who can connect across difference. In a world increasingly polarized, language classrooms became one of the few spaces where curiosity still outweighed certainty, where misunderstanding was an invitation rather than a threat. So, when we say wrap up 2025, I don't want that to mean closure. I want it to mean clarity. But clarity about what matters, about what we carry forward, and what we leave behind. We leave behind the myth that faster is better. We leave behind the obsession with sounding native. We leave behind the idea that struggle means failure. And we carry forward something quieter, but far more powerful. Intention. And as we step into the next year, the goal isn't to do more, it's to do better. To teach with awareness, to learn with patience, to speak with courage, and even when the words aren't perfect. Because language at its core has never been about perfection. It's always been about connection. And until next time, keep learning with intention, teaching with heart, and remembering that every word you choose shapes the world a little more than you think. Let's keep the conversation going in 2026. Happy New Year, my wonderful listeners.